welcome to this edition of The Golden Rule, a program designed to bring righteousness to our community, righteous living, righteous talking, righteous thinking, and we're in the process of just trying to establish an awareness in the community that God is active in people's lives, in the past, presently, and will be in the future. And today I've got JT Thaden with me. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you, Barry.
For joining me. And we've been buddies for a little bit. He's my right-hand man when I do my radio program. And so thank you for that, your involvement in that. So here we are, JT. We want to talk about, give you a chance to just share a little bit about your own personal testimony, your before Christ life, and how you came to know Him. So just feel your liberty, take your liberty.
Yeah, well, where would you like me to begin? I'll tell you one thing, Barry. My before Christ life looks nothing like my now Christ life.
Amazing. That's wonderful.
It is amazing.
And that's what is supposed to happen.
Right. So I'll give you a little bit of background, and you tell me if I'm getting too deep into the weeds or not.
Okay.
We obviously don't have all day.
We've got the clock to watch too, so we'll keep that in mind. But
I grew up in a church-going family, although I would say that my church experience was more of a traditional ritual type church going. We went on Sundays because that's what you did.
Been there, done that.
And I didn't feel really any connection to God, at least not a personal connection to God. And by the time I graduated high school, my parents had been divorced, and so, dealing with some of the emotional pain when parents split. I moved away. I went off to college. I went to the big cities, and I thought, I'm never going to church again. I don't need it. I went to church every Sunday, all the way up through graduating high school, because that's what Mom said we were going to do.
Right. And
I went to college. I got into drinking and partying and
carousing.
Absolutely. And much like many kids in their early 20s, I learned a lot of life lessons. Graduated college, started a career in radio broadcasting, and focused really on my career, honestly. And I never thought about church. I never thought about going to church. The church that I did go to was when I would visit my parents on the holidays, so maybe Easter or Christmas. And even then, I didn't feel much of anything when I was going. Just kind of like, well, this is what we do, because this is what we've always done.
Right.
I focused so much in my career and other things that I kept wondering, where the top was, where the ceiling was. And one of the things that I ended up doing is I started drinking a whole bunch more. I started meeting a lot of different women. My career started to take off, and I honestly thought that it was the more work that I put into it, the better my life was going to be. And what I found was that it felt emptier and emptier, and I didn't know what was missing. I was hanging out with the wrong people. Now, at the time, I thought these are great people. These are people that are going to help me with my career.
Right.
I was working for what I thought at the time was a really great company that, I thought cared a lot about me. But in fact, now that I look back at it, they cared more about what I could do for them.
Sure.
The atmosphere and the culture at that company was one where you worked as much as you can, and you put relationships on the back burner. In fact, we used to have business meetings at a strip club.
Oh,
believe
great!
It or not, Barry.
Great.
And for some reason, in the back of my mind, I always felt like that wasn't right, but I didn't really know why.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like being there. So fast forward, God, and this is totally a God thing, and I did not know this at the time, but I've come to realize it was a God thing. I met a woman who would eventually become my wife, and there was something different about her, and I didn't know what that was. And she'll tell you, when she first met me, she didn't want anything to do with me. There was no mutual love or respect for one another. But I got to know her, and the more that I got to know her, the more that I kept wondering, why is this woman so happy? And why is she so smiley all the time, even in the face of difficulties? She's always so happy. And there's just something radiating about her that was different from other people that I'd met.
I want to interrupt you just a minute, because that's key, and believers need to understand that. We're being watched all the time. And if we're falling apart, like the world falls apart when things go bad, they're going to say, there's no difference between him or her and me. But when you're walking in the Spirit and you're living that life of righteousness, peace, and joy, it affects people. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, so the weirdest thing, one day, I don't know what it was, I said, what is different about you? I just bluntly
You
like
asked
that.
her point blank?
What is different about you? And she looked and she said, well, I think maybe what you're seeing is that I believe in Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit indwells. And I don't exactly know word for word what she said. I was like, okay, you're nuts. You're a crazy person. And she said, oh, well, that's what I think it is. And, we started, that sort of opened up a conversation about religion and faith and things. And so over the course of number of weeks, I just sort of started asking more questions. Like, okay, if you believe that this is what it is, tell me a little bit more about what you believe. And obviously that's God, right? God is pushing me to ask those questions, and I don't know. Something is happening. And then again, a few weeks goes by, and we've been having these conversations, and I was like, I'd really like to go to church with you one day. I don't know why I said that. I would have never said that, Barry. That wasn't me. I didn't want anything to do with church. I was having much more fun. I thought having much more fun going to the bar every night, meeting women,
Now let me ask you something. Was that a manipulative question to stay on her good side, or was there something really going on the inside?
No, I think that really was something going on in the inside, because I don't even know where that came from. And so she said, yeah, sure, you can come to church with me. And we ended up going to church. I don't know if it was that same week, but we ended up going to a church on Sunday. And I felt like the pastor was speaking directly to me when we were there. I had never had an experience like that. I was like crying in the seat. And here I am next to this woman who I got a bit of a crush on at this point. And I'm like, what is going on with me? And I couldn't stop going then. We went to church, every week for the next 2 months, and I had that same experience. And somewhere along the lines, God got a hold of me. Obviously, he was calling me, and he was using my wife to really hook me in. And my life, since then, my life changed dramatically. I stopped going out to the bars and hanging out with women.
Did alcohol drop off 100%
No,
for you?
You know what? I don't think I ever had an quote-unquote issue with alcohol. I just found that alcohol was something to do. I was trying to fill my emptiness with something.
Sure.
So it very well could have been drugs, or it could have been, a number of other things that people try to fill themselves with.
So did the women thing drop off?
It did, absolutely.
I would hope.
Yeah. And so I changed my life. Suddenly the people that I thought were my friends are looking at them and like, we're not really friends. And it's interesting how you change and then they don't really want to hang out with you anymore.
Yeah.
My job situation, suddenly I didn't really fit in with the culture anymore because it was like that. Suddenly I was a new
Translated from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of light. And everything changes when that happens.
And my wife, was not a Bible thumper. She wasn't telling me you have to believe. She was just showing me what it looks like to be a Christian. the real version of a Christian, how you hold yourself, how you interact with people, your integrity, all of those things. And, eventually I think she liked the new me. we got married. We have a 2-year-old named Oli and one on the way, another boy coming in November.
Congratulations.
And I can see all the paths that God has opened up and the doors that He's closed. And I work for a great company now. Obviously, we work a little bit together with the radio stuff here in Detroit Lakes. So I work for a great, what I would say, Christian organization. At least the leadership is Christian. And I go out now with my boss, and we'll have lunch, and we might be in a group of 100 people in a restaurant, and Jeff, who's the general manager here at Layton and Detroit Lakes, we'll pray before our meal.
Amen.
And I don't think that's weird. And we'll pray about the business. We'll pray about the people that we work with. We'll pray about our families.
That's awesome.
And growing up in a divorced household, I never thought that I was going to get married. I was in my early to mid 30s before I got married.
That's a difficult thing for so many people.
Right. And so without having this transformation and the Holy Spirit indwelling in this faith, there's no way I could have a good marriage.
Is your wife a stay-at-home mom?
She's not. My wife is very driven, and I think she'd get very bored at home.
Okay.
So she is off to work, and we, I at the church I go to now, they said oftentimes we think marriages need to be 50-50, and in actuality they need to be 100.
Right.
And so we're not without our struggles, believe me, but we have managed very well, and I have a great mother and father-in-law who have really shown me what it looks like to be a Christian family. I mean, they're opening up the Bible and reading the Bible to their family. And so now with 1.5 kids, almost 2, I look around in the world today and I see all the struggles and the pain and the darkness and the way that people are trying to cope, the way that I tried to cope through all of that. And without having that good Christian background, and I hope that my 2 sons will find faith. In fact, that's one of my prayers every night.
Amen.
Is that I can be a good Christian example, and that I can open up those opportunities for my kids to find God. But ultimately, it's God.
JT, for a non-scripted interview, this time has just flown by.
Yeah, I know. You were supposed to be asking me questions, and I'm just rattling.
You weren't rattling, you were sharing. It was perfect. It was just what I was hoping you would do. So anyway, we are just about out of time, but before we sign off, I just want to remind you, if you or somebody you know has a God-glorifying story that they're willing to share in a public way, give me a call, 218-847-5575, and I'll arrange for you to sit in that chair. Because we need you. God needs you. Somebody out there, your heart right now is going boom, boom, boom. You say, oh man, I could never do that. That means you're supposed to do it. And so give me a call. Thank you for joining us, and come back next time when we'll do it again. God bless you.